Part 58, Thou preparest a table before me. Wild Harvest Edibles. Just a reminder, an important note that as you navigate any health challenge, it's always recommended that you partner with a medical practitioner that shares your philosophy of the care of the human body in disease and in health. The information shared in this presentation is meant to educate and improve your wellness toolbox and aid in returning to health if sick and maintaining good health when well. It should not be construed as medical advice, simply as tools that have been used successfully by others in similar situations. As always, investigate and verify any treatment, protocol, or procedure for yourself, not blindly accepting anything without due diligence. Thomas Edison said that the doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will instruct his patients in the care of the human frame, in diet, and in the cause and prevention of disease. There are many ways of practicing the healing art, but there is only one way that heaven approves. God's remedies are the simple agencies of nature that will not tax or debilitate the system through their powerful properties. Pure air and water, cleanliness, a proper diet, purity of life, and a firm trust in God are remedies for which the want of thousands are dying. Yet these remedies are going out of date because of their skillful use requires work that the people do not appreciate. Fresh air, exercise, pure water, a clean, sweet premises are within the reach of all, with but little expense. But drugs are expensive, both in the outlay of means and the effect produced upon the system. These were wise words that were penned back in 1885 in Testimonies for the Church, Volume 5, by Ellen White. 3 John 1 verse 2 says, Beloved, I pray that you may prosper in all things and be in health, just as your soul prospers. If our soul isn't prospering and in good form, our overall health suffers as well. Romans 12, 1 and 2 says, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. Today's topic is the hawthorn tree, Crataegus monagiana. It's a member of the rose and apple family. Actually, the apple is a rose member too. It has long woody thorns like the rose. It's also known as May tree or thorn apple. It's a deciduous member of the Rosaceae family. It can be a bush or a tree. It's often found wild along sunny paths or in kind of pasture edges, but it's often used ornamentally in landscaping, so it's often found in urban settings as well. The flowers are white, red, or pink. It typically blooms in May and has numerous flowers, typically white, but there also can be red and pink variants. The berries are small. They ripen to deep red or black. They're edible with a sour or sweet flavor associated with them. You can see that the leaves are alternate with serrations, deep serrations. They can be ovate in general shape, 2 to 3 inches in length. You can see the deep serrations in the leaves in the lower picture. And the leaves don't all look alike. There can be some variation in the size and the shape. And they're very deep green in coloration. Trees are rarely over 30 feet tall, and they have 2-inch spines up to 2 inches in length. The fruit is edible, raw or cooked. It's more palatable when cooked, more tasty, especially when it's in the form of a jam or jelly, because sugars are added to it. They can be dried and added to breads, so just the dried fruit. The young shoots can be eaten raw. The dried leaves are useful for a tea, and the seeds can be roasted for a hot drink substitute. The flowers can be used in flavoring puddings and syrups, so a syrup infusion. So a recipe here for Hawthorne Jam. Just in the jams above, the jellies to the left. Jellies are clear, jams are more pulpy in constituents. So 1 pound of hawthorn berries, a cup of sugar or more is needed. And the more raw that is, the better for you it would be. If sugar can be good, it can be good for you. A cup and a half of water, a half a teaspoon of fresh lemon juice, and airtight clean containers. So first of all, start off soaking those berries for 20 minutes in salt water and remove the core. And that can take a little while just because they're tiny berries. Food process it until it's smooth or to the texture that you like. And then in a saucepan, simmer it with sugar for an hour and 20 minutes to an hour and 40 minutes, somewhere in that neighborhood. And about halfway through that period of time, add the lemon juice and stir it. Stir it occasionally as you go. Fill the containers, leaving a third of the space at the top for headroom for freezing. This is cooling it and freezing it, or you can use it straight from the fridge. So some medicinal uses. It has significant benefits for heart. You can take it as a tea or a tincture daily. And actually, daily use is better than just using it randomly or sporadically. Using it consistently over time is best. It's actually considered quite safe for use, although there will note some potential side effects that people may experience if they happen to be allergic to it. So like anything, you should do something at a lower dose initially just to make sure that you're not allergic to it, because something that you haven't used before could have potential allergic responses to it, whatever it might be. If you don't care for the actual tinctures or teas, you can actually use it powdered in a capsule form. The berries, the flowers, and the leaves are all used medicinally. So for heart failure, daily use of the hawthorn, along with moderate exercise and a whole food plant-based diet, all work in synergistic symphony to help mitigate heart failure consequences. And that can help turn it around too. So always be sure to consult a medical team, your medical advisors as you go in and naturally address a condition, just to make sure that your heart is up to the activity that you engage in, and that you wouldn't be adversely affecting yourself by not doing something that you should do. But many times medications may create their own side effects, so you need to use your own judgment along with that as well. So heart disease, it aids in lowering blood pressure, essentially by causing vasodilation to occur. Helps to improve heart rate and cardiac output. The cardiac output is the amount of blood that's pumped per beat, and also helps to improve tolerance to moderate exercise, basically by doing a vasodilation again and allowing a more efficient blood flow throughout the body. And typically heart disease comes with a constriction of blood vessels and a decrease in circulation just due to blockages and reduced blood flow to the blood vessels. And this can be a temporary stay to that by vasodilation. So angina pectoris, this can be caused by decreased blood flow to the heart. It's actually a symptom of heart disease, and hawthorn can help as a treatment and a prevention of the causes. So the primary cause, of course, is diet. And if we change the diet, we can change the organ consequences, including the heart. It helps to dilate the blood vessels, which improves blood flow. And most of the benefit to those are seen by those who are moderately exercising. So that vasodilation helps and aids that exercise process. In irregular heartbeat, people with irregular heartbeat, it can decrease the heart palpitations that are experienced by people who have those when hawthorn is used on a regular basis. So the reports come back that they have a decrease in these kinds of symptoms, which is a beautiful thing. Atherosclerosis, basically it aids in opening the blood vessels through dilation, and that thereby improves circulation and reduces the symptoms of atherosclerosis, because essentially that is what's called a hardening of the arteries. Basically there is inflammation and a buildup of plaque that reduces blood flow. So you have to treat the cause with diet. So that's no animal products, no oils, eliminating processed foods and free sugars. Those are going to be the things you need to eliminate, but in the same time adding whole food, plant-only diet. Lots to eat out there that's whole food, that's unrefined. Should never go hungry in that department. So elevated blood pressure can be helped by the berries, the leaves, and the flowers. They all aid by lowering the diastolic blood pressure, and it needs to be used over several weeks in order to see benefit. Again, that's more of a systemic vasodilation that aids in lowering the blood pressure. Elevated cholesterol. Hawthorn lowers the LDL and the total cholesterol levels in the same swing. Basically, it helps via the fact that it has pectins in it. The pectins are helpful in helping the cholesterol leave the body, and that's true of a whole food, plant-only diet. Liver cholesterol and triglycerides are also lowered, and helps to lower body fat. So health tonic effects. The berries are very powerful anti-inflammatory agents and antioxidants, help to maintain health and prevent disease. You can see the fruit at different stages here on the tree on the right in the 4 pictures there, and the black version, very deep, ripe and then the red berries there too. It protects the body from oxidative stress. That is oxygen-free radicals that are coming and causing damage to tissues around them. And helps to protect from stress as well. It also kills many bacteria strains. So consuming it not only is beneficial as a tonic, but helps to break down and kill bacteria that may be in the body that doesn't belong there. It also has organ protective effects. The immune system is also boosted by the use of hawthorn. It has vitamin C in it, and it helps to boost the removal of toxins and boost white blood cell activity. There's 5 different white blood cells. You have your monocytes, your eosinophils, basophils, lymphocytes, which includes the T lymphocytes, and neutrophils. And there are various permutations of each of those classes that are elevated and improved by the use of hawthorn. So it's helpful in the GI tract as well. It improves digestion, helps to reduce bloating, and constipation is reduced, primarily because of the fiber associated with hawthorn use, and also is beneficial in treating internal parasites, like the tapeworm. These are pictures of tapeworm within the gut, as well as a free form tapeworm there. Also helps in skin conditions, aids in treating eczema and psoriasis, anti-inflammatory, the itching. It helps to be mitigated when used to get internally or as a wash. Swelling and rashes are also reduced. It can also be beneficial in helping wounds to heal, largely because of its antibacterial effects and antiseptic effects. It's also helpful in fevers. The Hawthorne Bark Tea, so this is taking a bark extract. It's very astringent, kind of draws things together, causes sweating, and in that regard helps to treat fevers like malaria and other colds and things that have fever associated with them. When you're harvesting it, collect the flowers and leaves in season, so it doesn't bloom all year long, of course, and the fruit is present at the end of the season, while the leaves are throughout the season after the winter time is done, the spring has come along. So dehydrate on low or just hang dry them. You don't want to have them exposed to too much heat. The fruit, when they're ripe, collect them and be sure to pierce them or halve them so they dry well. These have been sliced and cored that are in the picture, and then make sure that you store them in a sealed, dry, and dark location. So here's the warning. Just be careful that you aren't allergic to it. If you are allergic, you may have some of these symptoms. Upset stomach, sweating, fatigue, nausea, dizziness, agitation. Of course, if you feel any of those symptoms when doing anything, you should stop whatever it is that you're doing. That's new within your program that may have caused those things. So occasionally you can have even more severe symptoms like shortness of breath or anaphylactic type allergic reactions, heart irregularities, and mood swings. Interesting because it is helpful in regulating the heart if you're not allergic to it. So just start with moderation and make sure that you're not allergic before you go whole hog on it. So the symptoms will go away when you stop the use. If you're using other medications, it's a good idea to consult a healthcare practitioner so that there isn't any medication interaction or interference. So tincture of hawthorn, 1 pint of hawthorn berries, use vegetable glycerin, or if externally being used, 80 proof vodka or higher. A sterile glass jar. You can do that by steam heating it and a tight fitting lid. Place the berries in a jar to 1/2 inch below the rim. Cover the berries with the glycerin and cap it. Then allow those berries to steep in the glycerin for 6 to 8 weeks in a cool, dark location and with daily shaking of the jar. After that extraction period of 6 to 8 weeks, filter the berries out and put the extract into a clean glass jar. Label it, date it, and store it. The glycerin tincture doesn't last quite as long on a shelf life perspective, but you can also use apple cider vinegar to extract the beneficial properties. And that is an alternative to be used to vodka. It doesn't have quite the same shelf life either. Of course, we know that alcohol is an excellent preservative. So here's a nice picture of the tincture being made, the extraction process in the mason jar there. Make sure you label it. You can label in large sizes or small sizes. Some beautiful hawthorn berries minus the leaves. And you can review this presentation and others like it at www.preparingforthetimeoftrouble.com.